Alright guys, so I'm filming this segment with two cameras, so I hope you catch everything. I hope you could see exactly what I'm doing. But I have my Fortunato 500 series coils right here, and I'm going to prep them. I probably will be installing them tomorrow, as long as it doesn't rain, although it is supposed to rain, or maybe the next day. But in any case, I want to get these prepped so that I'm not cutting into my install time whenever the day comes that I actually install these. But it will be in the next few days. I already did a video unboxing these, so if you're curious about what they are and what upgrades I have done to them, you can check out this video here. I have a full unboxing video, but this is the exclusive black and blue coloration from Cygnus Performance, so I definitely recommend checking them out. If you are interested in this black and blue coloration, you could only get it through Cygnus, so definitely check out their website. And if you like the standard black and green coloration that Fortunato is known for, you should still check out Cygnus Performance because they do have lower prices than Fortune Auto's website. So today I'm going to be doing two main things. First of all, I'm going to be setting the preload on my springs, which I'm going to explain in a second. That is required, that is absolutely necessary. And second, I'm going to be applying this marine grease to some areas on these coilovers, so hopefully they won't get corroded or rusty or anything like that. The current set that's on my car right now have seized up because of the salt and corrosion and everything like that. So I'm hoping to maintain these so they don't get jacked up like mine are now with this marine grease. I had a subscriber, I apologize, I don't remember exactly who it was, who suggested that I check out ISC Coilover covers. I did check them out, however, they are way too expensive for me. So ISC makes these neoprene coilover covers that help prevent water and dirt and grime getting into your threads and all that crap. However, they, I don't know, they just want to charge a crap ton of money. So shipped for 4 covers, it's just neoprene fabric, by the way. It has some Velcro and it looks like some elastic. Shipped for 4 covers is $115, which I think is, it blows my mind that they could charge that much for some neoprene covers. So I am not willing to spend $115 for some neoprene fabric. However, I did order some of my own neoprene fabric. It is slightly thinner than what ISC uses, but I should be able to make my own for about $30 to $40, which is much more in my price range. So those will be coming at a later date. I don't expect to have those made when I install these, but when I do those, I will be sure to make a video on those. Now, into the video. I have my instruction guide from Fortunato, and this is a fairly thin booklet, which is nice. It's only about 6 pages or so, but it's very detailed and it gives you exactly the correct instructions, everything that you need to know when you're setting up your coilovers and installing them. So they go over a bunch of different stuff. There's kit contents, a whole bunch of safety warnings, as you might expect. They tell you that these are for off-road use only because it's a liability thing, yada yada. In here, page 2 is preload settings. So if you're not familiar with preload, the long short of it is it has to do with the actual compression of the spring, the preset compression of the spring. So, preload settings. Having the correct preload tension on the front shocks is imperative. Preload tension prevents spring bind or spring noises. 1/4 inch of preload or compression is required on the front springs. To achieve 1/4 inch of preload, measure the springs uncompressed. Most applications use front springs that are 7 or 6 inches long. My springs are 7. For example, after the preload is set on a 7-inch spring, the new total length should be 6 3/4 inches. So I'm going to measure it 7 inches, tighten down the spring perch until it comes into 6 3/4, and then I'm good to go. For my rear springs, they require 1/8 inch of preload. So that's the same thing. I'm going to measure my spring completely uncompressed, tighten down the spring perch until I have 1/8 inch of compression, and I'm going to lock in the spring perch at that height, and I'm good to go. So to start, I'm going to take my coil, and I'm going to loosen this spring perch. This one's fairly loose, so I could do it by hand. Otherwise, I have these spanner tools. But I'm going to loosen this up until it goes completely loose. That way I could be sure that my spring has 0 compression on it. And once it's loose, I could verify that I do have 7-inch springs, which yes, I do. I already checked. But at that point, I need to just snug up this spring perch. And from there, I'm going to crank this down until I get to 6 3/4 inches. And you just want to check periodically to make sure that that is correct. And you want to check, double check, and triple check. And especially you want to make sure that your left and right front struts are at the same exact compression. Otherwise, you're going to have some weird ride characteristics. So now that I have 1/4 inch of compression on this spring, I need to lock this spring perch in place. And to do that, I have an Allen key, because this is Fortunato's new design of locking spring perch. If you have the locking rings that are the traditional friction lock style, then you would just torque them down against each other until they lock in place. However, this is a little bit different, and I'm very excited to use this because it's going to be awesome. I think this is a much easier design to work with than the traditional style, and it's going to be easier if I ever have to adjust it. However, they also designed it so that it doesn't move and it's less likely to come loose while driving. So to do that, I'm just going to torque this down until it doesn't move anymore. So the rear springs are going to get set the exact same way, except it's going to be 1/8 of an inch instead of 1/4 inch. So now that I have my spring preload set, I'm going to use this grease and I'm going to apply it to the threaded bodies on my coilovers. And the main reason I'm doing this is because I live in the Northeast and we have very harsh winters. This step is optional, however, I highly recommend it because I know that if I don't do something to control the rust and corrosion, I'm not going to be able to adjust the height anymore. And that's what happened with my current set of coilovers. So while this is optional and it's an additional step, I highly recommend it. And I went with this. This is actually from CRC and it's water resistant marine grease. This is actually meant for boat trailers and stuff that goes in salt water. So I'm hoping this will work well and prevent the salt and corrosion from building up. So to apply this, I'm going to unthread the bottom of my shock absorber. And I'm going to apply it to the threads inside as well as the threads on the body itself. And I'm going to do the same exact thing for all 4 coilovers. They're all the same. But I'm hoping that getting this grease down in these threads will prevent any corrosion from taking place. Because the theory is, if there is this water resistant grease in there taking up all the space, then water is not going to be able to get in there. And if water can't get in there, then it can't corrode or rust. So this hopefully will prevent them from rusting and seizing up like my current set did. But as I said, this is an optional step. And I'm going to spin up this locking ring and I'm going to coat this whole threaded body with the grease. And that is also why it's beneficial to have coilover covers so that dirt and grime doesn't get in the grease. But in any case, it really doesn't matter because I'm going to clean out the grease before I would adjust the height anyhow. But as I said, the coilover covers are coming at a later date. Great news, guys. So today is a bright, warm, sunny day. So I just need to move my car, put it up on jack stands, and then I can get started with this install. So when it comes to the rear struts, I actually have to remove my rear seats. So if you've never done that before, there is a bolt here, one over there, and there will be 3 bolts behind this cushion once I take that out. However, I also have these extenders from my current Fortunatos. So I need to take Domo out of here. And once I remove him and remove my seats, you'll be able to see exactly what's back here. All right guys, so it looks like I hit a small roadblock on this install. It turns out that the coilovers that were sent to me actually have the wrong brackets installed on them, and they do not fit with my STI. So I have my front coilovers right here. Here's my old one, and here's the new one. And as you can see, the bracket is slightly different, but what's more important is the inside of this bracket is too narrow on the new one. It's very slight, but it's about 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters too thin. The new ones are 27 millimeter, and my old ones are 30 millimeter, which means that this knuckle here will not fit in that gap. I just messaged Jeff at Cygnus Performance to see if he could hook me up with some new brackets. The rest of the coilovers are good, so I should just have to swap on new brackets, and then I'll be good. It kind of sucks because I'm in the middle of this install and now I can't get it done. Other than that, it was actually going very well, surprisingly. So that's just kind of a small hiccup. People are human, people make mistakes, so maybe I ordered it wrong, even though I'm 99.99% sure that I didn't. But it could be a discrepancy on Fortunato's behalf too, and I'm not here to like blame anybody. I don't really care. I understand that people make mistakes, and it's about how the company handles it rather than somebody screwing up in the first place. So I don't want this to come out as I'm bashing anybody. I'm really not. I'm not upset about it. It kind of sucks that I can't get this finished today, but like I said, people make mistakes and I completely understand that. So I guess I'll just pause the video here and I'll catch up with you guys when I do get the correct parts in. So see you next time. And we are back. It is Wednesday and I just got my mounts in from Fortunato this morning. I did get a late start working on my coilovers again today because as you can see, my garage looks very different. So if you've seen my previous videos, you know that my wall used to look like that. This hideous white and green, actually 2 different shades of green, that was done by the previous owner, and I just never repainted the wall in like 15 years. So I have new shelving units that just came in earlier today as well, so I've set that up. And last night I spent all night painting this wall, and I'm gonna repaint this whole garage, but that's as far as I got right now. But I have new shelving units, so I actually am really excited because I finally have somewhere to put all my stuff. I have a shelf dedicated to car care products, which wasn't that way before. So I'm hoping to cut down on all the clutter, and it will look a lot nicer in my videos as well, but without me yammering on anymore. That's a separate project, but I have my new mounts right over here. So these are the new mounts that just came in from Fortune this morning. These were the incorrect mounts. I'm not sure exactly what vehicle these are for. I believe it's for an 04 STI or possibly a WRX, but they are the incorrect size. The gap is slightly too narrow by about 3 millimeters, but they did send the correct ones and they 2-day shipped them to me, which is awesome. So they also included a free lanyard for my troubles. So with that being said, I already started on my install, and I have the passenger side front and rear coils installed already. As you can see, nice and black compared to the green that was there before. It's a much cleaner look, and that looks much better. And this looks much better as well. I still have the old crappy, this is the coilover that was blown, but I have my old crappy coils still installed. So I'm gonna be showing you guys that side of the install. And here's the front. So to give you guys a quick rundown of what's going on, I have 2 bolts here on my knuckle. I have a top one and a bottom one. The top bolt is actually a camber bolt, which means it's actually oval shaped. So whenever you clock the bolt, that will adjust your camber. So I'm going to keep note of where that is. I am going to get scheduled for a alignment very soon. But in the meantime, since the new coilovers are exactly the same as the old ones, I'm just going to transfer over my settings from those so that I have as good of an alignment as I can have until I get it realigned. But anyway, these two bolts are coming out. I have 3 smaller nuts up top that need to come out, and that will allow me to remove the front coil, and same thing happens when I put it back. I just do everything in the reverse order. So that is very simple. And again, like I said, with that camber bolt, I'm gonna keep an eye on what side is facing up so that whenever I put it back in place, I still have a correct alignment, or at least as close to a correct alignment as I can have, so that I'm not putting unnecessary wear and tear on my tires. For the rears, those are easy as well. Similar process. I have 2 bolts down here. On the rears, I don't have any camber bolts, but again, I'll just be careful when I'm installing those. And if you come inside, I have 3 nuts here for the top. One here, one here. There's one hiding right back here. Those are kind of a pain in the ass just because of the tight tolerances there are. But again, I'm going to remove those, drop the old coilover out, and install my new one. Now, you're probably wondering about the height. So if I take you over, here is my old rear and my old front. And basically what I'm doing, this is opposite sides, obviously. But basically what I'm doing is I'm just measuring my old coilovers. I'm measuring from the bottom of this spring. These are identical, pretty much. I'm going to be measuring from the bottom of the spring to the top of this ring here, and I'm going to take that distance and adjust my new coilovers until that's exactly the same. And the reason they look different here is because this is a rear coilover and this is my front coilover, but it's the same thing. Here are 2 rears, same exact thing. So I'm gonna unscrew this until it's the same height as my old coilovers, and that's gonna get me pretty close to where, you know, it should be. I'm not really screwing around with the height. I was perfectly happy with the height setting on my coilovers before. I just needed to replace them because the rear strut was blown and the other ones aren't much better. So that's what's going on. This install is taking a little bit longer than I had expected. So far, the bolts haven't been too bad, but I had a couple that are stuck on the rear passenger side. So I'm here filming my coilover install, and this dog over here decided to start giving me problems. So I don't know why. I don't know whose dog it is. I don't know where he came from. But it's a little bit annoying, and I am a dog lover. But I got stuff to do, so yeah.
Thank God that the brothers on the rise now. Endless celebrations all in my house. Levitating now, I'm super duper fly now. London boy, but DC where I reside now. Put the time in while you always yelling time out. With it, cause I know I'm coming with it. You were sitting, you were wishing I was handling my business. Now I got the ball like Harry Potter playing Quidditch.
Alright guys, so here are my 2 rear coilovers. Obviously my old one, and you can see that it's coated in oil because it's blown. And I have my nice new one, and this is all that grease that I applied earlier. So once I tighten down this ring, then I will brush it into the other threads, because my philosophy is if there's grease on it, then that means water can't get on it, and if water can't get on it, then it's not going to rust or corrode. But I'll show that a little bit more in the future. But as far as setting my height adjustment, I have my tape measure right here. So I am measuring on my old coilover right from the underside of this spring here. There's a little plastic bushing in there. So I'm measuring from that point down to this ring here, down to the top of it, just because that gives me a nice even measurement. So it's kind of hard to film this and show you with one hand, but basically if I measure, it's about 7 inches more or less. So I'm going to make sure that I have the exact same dimensions on my new coilovers once I slide this locking ring down into place. So that's all I'm doing for the height adjustment. If you're installing these and you're going from OEM suspension to aftermarket, then you would have to measure differently. You would have to measure from the center of the wheel hub to your fender before and after you install them, which I'll talk about more in the future in a separate video. But this is the way I'm doing it because I have the same coilovers that were on before. So there's no need in trying to figure all this stuff out when I could just transfer the same exact measurements over and I should be good with my height adjustment.
Guess you would think that happens in there. Damn man, I'm all that, yeah, I'm all that. Looking for that whip, yeah, that what you call that. I'ma blow up in the summer, have him yelling fall back. And I've always been ahead like an effing ball cap. Man, I came in the game like, whoa. Got a couple chains on me cause I like gold. They told me I'm the best and I told them I know. Cause when I'm in your town, every ticket I sold. Yeah. They saying I'm the man, facts bro, facts, lot of haters, tell me where they at though, I'm the new pop, all I do is rap though, want me on your song, throw a couple stacks, yo, woo. Everybody wanna do the same thing, yo. That's why we ain't on the same page, do my own thing, and I maintain, flow like water so I'm going mainstream, flow like water so I'm going mainstream. Yeah, I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream.
All right guys, so before I start loosening the bolts on the knuckle here, I have two small 12 millimeters, one for my brake line and one for my ABS sensor line. So I need to remove those and make sure that both of those lines are clear from anything that I'm doing. Alright guys, so I have my old strut and my new strut here. The easiest way to tell which side goes where is by looking at the brackets on the bottom. They both should match. So this one has an angled tab and on the opposite side it's squared off. Same with this one. And this tab here is tweaked because it torqued whenever I was trying to loosen the bolt. It was in there really tight. But other than that, it's the same thing. So you just want to make sure that you are installing these on the correct sides. Otherwise, you're not going to have the tabs in the correct places where they need to be. All right, guys, so one thing I decided to add at the last minute here is zip ties. So if you look at my old coilovers, you could see that the dust cover here is worn out and it kind of just moves up and down. Well, if it's in this up position for whatever reason, then that means that dirt can get under here and interfere with the piston and it can wear out more quickly. So my new ones have nice new dust boots, but I'm going to zip tie around this bottom in place so that it keeps it in a downward position so less dirt is likely to get in here. And as I said earlier, I am going to be stitching up some of my own coilover covers, and that's going to also minimize the dirt that gets in here. But I just want to take this extra precautionary step and use zip ties to keep these in place. Alright guys, so to make sure that my alignment is as good as it can be before I actually go for an alignment, I am just transferring over the same settings from my current coilovers to my new coilovers. So it's kind of hard to see, but there is an etching here that is your 0, and I already moved them over. So you just loosen them up with the Allen key, all 4 of them, then you'll be able to slide this over and then you torque them all down. So that's all I'm doing. So I just need to do the same thing to the driver's side, which I'm going to do in a minute. And as you can see, the sun is already setting. But I want to say thank you to Jeff over at Cygnus Performance. I hit him up on a Sunday, and he contacted Fortune Auto on Monday, and I have my mounts today, which is Wednesday. So A+ customer service from both Cygnus Performance and Fortune Auto, and that makes or breaks a company. That is a huge difference between them and other companies. Let's say, I don't know, hypothetically, there's a company called Flossy, and maybe they make shift knobs, you know, and maybe, just for instance, they don't reply to any emails. Of course, I'm kidding, but you know, that's a big difference between a good company and a bad company. So I understand mistakes are made, and not everybody's perfect, but it's getting those things corrected. For clarification, I ordered correctly and Jeff put in the order correctly, but it was a mix-up on Fortune Auto's on their end. And I have no idea how many coilovers they get sent out every day. So it's not really a small company as far as, you know, the amount of products they are putting out. So it's completely understandable that there could be a simple small mix-up. It wasn't anything major, and it got fixed very quickly and easily. So with that being said, I'm going to close out this video right now. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Everybody wanna do the same thing. That's why we ain't on the same page.